Hello there and welcome back. And we're coming to the close of this wonderful day, the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Summit. So we've had so much to talk about throughout the day. And I think part of the focus that I've heard and that I suppose stays with me throughout the day, a lot of people looking to the future and also looking to future leaders. So in this closing session, I'm very, very happy to say that we're dedicating this session to a perspective on the next generation. It's great to look at what we can expect out there in terms of the future energy, but who's going to manage it, who's going to look after it, and who's going to be our leaders. So let me quickly introduce you to our panel here. We have them for just a lovely quick wrap up to see what really is going on in the United Arab Emirates and what we can expect in the future. May Al-Hajeri joins us. I'm absolutely delighted that May is with us. She is an UAE Youth Delegate to the United Nations. So lovely to see you, May. We're also joined by Zayed Musaed. Zayed, also a future sustainability leader here in the UAE. And His Excellency is with us. I'm absolutely delighted to introduce him, Dr. Thani Al-Zeyoudi. And of course, he is the Minister for State for Foreign Trade. So I'm going to start with you, May, just because you can give us maybe a wider perspective. I know you've been watching some of the great activities today. You've been listening to many of the energy leaders out there, listening to the ideas. When you think about sustainability and you look at what we've put together here for this, and we look at Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week in general, what comes to mind for you? What's uppermost? What's most important?
I think especially since we're talking about the post-pandemic and after having a very interesting people coming to us today in this very influential and very great gathering, the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, there has been a lot of reflection in the post-pandemic, especially in terms of climate action and all of their commitments to the sustainable development goals so far. So I think there is a lot of reflection to how far nations have come, how far they're willing to go, and how much we can engage youth in these conversations and how we can move forward.
Zayed, you've been looking at a few of our sessions today too. Talk to us a little bit about what impressed you.
I think what I was impressed the most with was the multifaceted view of sustainability. I think we looked at sustainability today from a health perspective, from an energy perspective, an economic perspective, our AI. And I think that opens a lot of opportunities for youth to tackle sustainability and basically participate in all perspectives, basically. So it's very encouraging for youth to participate in.
And it's so true. Sometimes we come to energy conferences and it's all about energy. But actually, I think it's only in the last couple of years we've really opened up and widened up to realize that energy is about everything. Your Excellency, when you look at being here in the United Arab Emirates and your position as a minister here, the great work you've been doing over the last few years here, the opportunities for youth, I think, are endless. The door is permanently open. What would you say, from your position now when you talk to other government ministers and your peers? The agenda is certainly focused, I think, on the youth here, is it?
Absolutely. First of all, it's really a pleasure to have you back. And it's really enjoyment and a pleasure to join such young, distinguished panelists with us here today. After resuming my role as Minister of State for Foreign Trade, we've been looking at what the disturbance which the pandemic has caused to us. And there was some consequences. Two main aspects which has been seen dramatically because of the pandemic is the disturbance and the impact on the employment. Employment has been dramatically increased globally, and it caused a huge pressure on the youth and a huge pressure on the governments to ensure that there is job creations to this distinguished and very critical category of our society. And the other aspect is the environmental impact. We saw the huge reduction in the emission reduction during the lockdowns and the huge ecological system coming back globally, which means that we are not balancing the way that we're running the systems and the sustainabilities in our lives. And everyone was worrying that there will be a revenge economies growth after the pandemic is gone. But luckily, nothing is happening that much. Speaking about the governments, one of the main topic which we always think about how we're going to ensure that there is job creation, and the youth is the key of the whole discussion, and how sustainability is going to be taken forward. It's not anymore about thinking about the energy or the renewable energy. We have to think about the holistic approach when it comes to our economies. Two things to be taken here. Economy is linked to energy, and energy is the backbone of the economy. And without the youth and without the young generations, we'll not be able to fulfill the commitments that we're setting for ourselves, because the capacity building is very crucial.
Indeed, yes, and they're very ambitious commitments, but I think we keep seeing them being, met or surpassed sometimes. So it's always very exciting to be here and to be, in a very dynamic environment. I've been here for about 15 years now, so it's nonstop. I can hardly keep up with it. Mai, talk to me about sustainability for, your peer group, your family, when you think about sustainability in terms of how important it is, and maybe how that has changed over the years.
It's really amazing when I think about it and I think about sustainability, I really see that I grew up based on or coming up from a environmentalist family, basically. Ever since we were young, my dad would teach me to clean after leaving a spot, or try to reduce your energy consumption. For example, when I leave the house, to turn off the lights and all of these. So thinking of how the past generations kind of inherited these traits and these behaviors that came up from the fact that they lived with the resources that they had at the time. So I would say that this is something definitely embedded with their experience in the past, and it's kind of inherited to our generation, basically, but based on our experiences and our livelihood today.
And that's lovely to hear, and especially you talk about, your father showing that example. Zayed, talk to me, what your experience is in terms of, your friends that you hang out with, your family. I mean, do you think people are looking differently here when it comes to sustainability and actually taking action to make sure that they're part of it and it is part of their life?
Definitely, I think amongst my group, I'm known as the environmentalist, and I think I take pride in that. I always push my family, my friends to be more sustainable, and even though they don't like it at times, but I try my best. But I think the perspective has changed. I remember when COP28 was announced that it's going to be held in Abu Dhabi. I remember everyone was asking me, what is COP28, and what does this mean? What does net zero mean? Amongst my circles, sustainability has become a thing now. And I really think that it has been highlighted in a very global sense, and in a regional sense, and in a local sense, and in the fact that we're hosting Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, and the fact that the UAE is hosting COP28. It has hosted Abu Dhabi Climate Meeting a couple of years ago. I think that it has always been, as May said, embedded in our DNA. It has been a part of our cultural heritage. We have always been environmentalists, and I think that as youth, we carry on that torch.
And when you look back on your career, I mean, your early career, your very fast career, the environment and climate change was under your remit very much. But also you look back on the history of this country and, the father of the nation, and you look at Sheikh Zayed and the words even from that. So there is a sense of, I think, environmentalism that was embedded in this country many years ago.
Absolutely. The founder of UAE, Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan, has been always taking the sustainability in consideration in most of the projects that he has been doing. We wrote a book about the sustainability aspects and sustainability projects, which His Highness Sheikh Zayed did. You won't imagine that even early 80s, no one was talking about sustainability, and there was so many environmental projects that he has been doing, not only here in the UAE, but also globally, and in Sri Lanka and many countries in Africa, globally. Some of the renewable projects that he has been already contributing and sending as humanitarian and development projects to some of the African countries, believing that those technologies will be one day very substantial technologies, adding value to the way that we're running our lives. And now we're lucky that we're seeing those technologies are everywhere and affordable, and making the business cases to everyone. But also looking at the future of the nations. We have the net zero targets 2050. We have the COP 2 years from now, and we have so many ambitious targets which encourage the young generations to follow those paths, ensure that They study, they implement, and they should not undermine any efforts that they're doing to fulfill those visions and targets.
Indeed, it's so important. This is a short conversation, May, so we have to wrap it up, but we wanted you just to come in and help us to wrap up the day and wrap up, this part of the conversation. But for you at the moment, when you look at your friends and colleagues, what do you want everybody to do the way, what's important right now as we move into, the next year? And indeed, here we are, it's only 22, so we've got all the 20s to go through. And indeed, looking forward to COP27 and COP28 here. What's uppermost, do you think, and what should be, perhaps, or what would you like to see for your group?
I would like to see them be more engaged. I think we have the resources around us. We have the platforms that could educate us more about what is sustainability, or how can we have, for example, coming from an investment background, since I'm working with the Abu Dhabi Investment Office, how can we have more sustainable investments? I think definitions with the scope of opportunities that we have today have definitely set one, let's say, terminology to have million definitions. So I think it's more about how you can explore the opportunities around you and how to engage yourself.
And Zayed, when you look ahead, you're a recent graduate, so apart from getting a job, and when His Excellency was talking about job creation, you were there kind of, sign me up, you're ready. So, again, you need to transition from academia to the work life, because as I said, you'll be in the work life long enough. But what are the sort of immediate, not so much targets, but what do you want to see people, and what do you want to see your group of friends do and families? What should there be in terms of a sort of a youth drive for the next couple of years here?
I think what I would like to see is basically green citizens, and I would like for that to be the next UAE generation, to be green citizens and to be environmentally dependent, to be sustainability oriented, and to basically make it a part of their identity back again. And I think technology, innovation, it's at the backbone of the sustainable development. And I think basically youth of the UAE, the youth of the region, they'll play a huge role in that.
We'll depend on you all to drive it. I'm going to give you a closing word here. And, in your role when we look at foreign trade, do you see opportunities here for young companies and perhaps startup companies? And there's a lot of focus there. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. There are two things which I want to carry over from what May and Zayed said. First one, being responsible, which means that don't undermine any small thing that we do, because it contributes to the bigger picture. And the green citizen, we all have responsibility, and we all have to take the risk and move on. We here in the UAE, we're providing the platform to everyone to become entrepreneurs, businesses, investors, and rich people. And we saw very huge successful stories built up and founded here in the country. And we're still attracting many international stories to the country. So it's just a matter of the young generation in the UAE to take that step forward and start moving forward and take the first steps, so they can be entrepreneurs. They can start up their unicorns, which we really hope that is going to go abroad. And the foreign trades, for sure, there's so many international agenda which we have to adhere to. But at the same time, the government is providing all facilities and incentives to open doors and expand the markets to those businesses within the country. So, an advice: take a risk. Don't hesitate. The market is there and the potential is available to everyone.
It is indeed, and lovely words of advice and lovely words of wisdom from you there in terms of just the encouragement, I think, that you give to them. But you come, I think, with that encouragement from a government that has put that at the very heart of what you do, and again, making sure that the opportunities are there to support the youth here, and indeed the youth who are citizens and the youth who reside here. I think that's the other lovely thing. You have a very dynamic population here in the UAE, so there's great mixture of ideas and lots of things to do. So we have to leave it there. Thank you so much for closing off this summit here with such great optimism, and I think that lovely optimism of possibilities, the great things that you're going to do from all of your viewpoint, from my Zayed and Dr. Thani, of course. Thank you so much. Lovely, as always, to see you.
Thank you so much for all of what you did this year and all the years.
And indeed, it's great that this was our grand closure, so to speak. So it's lovely. We close on a very positive note, and we have so much to do, I think, and the right people in place to make sure that we're absolutely driving it. And that, as I say, it brings us to a close this evening. It's we've been here all day. It's been great fun. We've talked to so many people, and we have to now wrap up Abu Dhabi Sustainable Summit. So much, I think, great work that went into this, the organizing team that pulled it off together, our great technical team who've been with us all day, keeping us on the air. Thanks to everybody, and again, to all of you who registered and signed in and supported us throughout the day. It's been a long, busy day, but action-packed, information-led, so I really hope you found it of tremendous value. And let's just take a look back, perhaps, on the day that was and some of the highlights from the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Summit 2022. We'll be joined by leading energy voices from around the world in the coming hours. With more than 80 specialists, lots of speakers, we're going to hear from heads of state, governments, officials, global CEOs, and leaders of international organizations.
This year's summit provides us a timely opportunity to reflect and exchange views on our collective response to pressing global challenges and the urgent steps needed going forward.
If we want future global development, we have to change. We need smarter, more sustainable and circular economies.
Thanks really to the UAE that early on stepped up. When I first came into this job, we will be able to accelerate significantly the deployment of this new energy future.
Demonstrating that renewable energy and going renewable is also a way to affect other countries.
There is nothing more profound, more important for energy security than having to have a stable market.
Innovation and technology is the key for us to be able to meet the SDG goals and also to ensure that we're building climate resilient, smart agricultural systems.
That we really do need to have significantly greater investment across the board if we're to reach the goals that the minister has outlined in her response.
The contribution of the ocean to the cycles that really maintain the planet that works in our favor.
Now the consensus is that it's there and we need to act on it, and we can. Technology is there.
WHO is timeless ready to work with all of you to make the planet and its people healthier and safer.
We have a capital markets problem and we have an operational problem. You need the stamps. Essentially, how do you know that that's green washing? And what is the stamp of approval that everybody agrees?
We will continue to invest in solar. We will continue to invest in clean technology.
We believe this is the direction of travel that we all need today. Really pragmatic solutions on food, on water, on energy, and enhanced financing for them.
Make the alternative to peace and security, but also the climate actions that are very readily available, and the investments are there. So it's connecting the two together.
I mean, philanthropy today has to be maybe more impactful and maybe work more with government, NGO, and associations.
If we work together, we will improve our environment.
The space affairs, we are really following all the developments. We are really trying to be the platform for exchanging of views, ideas, proposals, and agreements.
Future begins here at Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week and at ADSW Summit.
Forums like this, like the Abu Dhabi Sustainability Week, give a strong sentiment of commitment. And we also believe that common strategies are the way to join efforts toward combating climate change.
The sun shines bright over the desert, and deepwater mines yielded a source of life. Every drop generously offered to inspire the old and young to always act right. Progress soon ignited on the shores of endless waves that delivered innovation to desalinate and build sources of fresh water. Powered by solar energy, delivering advanced solutions with technology intelligently purposed, giving rise to a sustainable city. Abu Dhabi, a city that acts responsibly for the globe and for all, delivering advanced solutions to give back all that is borrowed. Save water. Use it wisely.